Season 3 with Nottingham Forest started off with a £55 million transfer budget. Thanks to a 6th place finish in the league, enough to win us a place in the Conference League. There's plenty of wanted signs around some of our key players, and some pretty hefty transfer values to boot. The media think we'll drop back down to mid-table. Although thanks to the good old coefficients, we've been bumped up to the Europa League. The board reckon they'll be happy with a top half finish, but I'm hoping for a nice deep run in this competition and hopefully some financial reward for it. We got some financial reward in the form of £13 million from Al Nassr for Joe Worrell, and his fellow centre-back Omar Bamadeli left the club to go to Blackburn for £10.5 million. So we brought in one of FM23's most popular centre-backs in Boyomo, along with spending just under £30 million on Jacobillo from Udinese. Malo Gusto joined us on loan from Chelsea despite our scouts thinking he's only a decent championship player. Followed by arguably our signing of the season, our first wonderkid is in through the door. Angelo joins for £37.5 million. And last but not least, Merry Demiral comes in on a free. I think we'll all agree he's a pretty good signing for £0. Meanwhile, title favourite City turned to Diego Simeone to try and regain their crown. And Angelo's arrival signals a change in tactics, with the right wing position getting pushed up a notch, hopefully to get the best out of the young Brazilian. Something that didn't really happen in the first game of the season, as he dropped to 6.9 against his old club, but we were still unlucky to concede an 85th minute equaliser from Rafinha. We then went to Premier League champions Tottenham. That still doesn't sound right, but they beat us 2-0 thanks to quickfire goals from Lookman and Barco. And we rounded off August with a disappointing 1-1 draw away at newly promoted Blackburn to leave us languishing down in 16th place in the Premier League. Too early to panic just yet, but after 3 games, maybe that season preview was accurate after all. Not all doom and gloom though, as we were handed some pretty favourable fixtures in the Europa League group stage. But after looking at September's fixtures, I was confident we could turn this form around. And we started to do just that with a 2-0 win at home to Brighton. Morgan Gibbs-White pulling the strings in a fantastic result for us. It was then time to make our return to European football in the Europa League, and Angelo got his first for the club with a stunning goal in a 2-0 victory against Dynamo Kiev. Back to the Premier League, and despite missing a penalty, we were too strong for Brentford in a 2-0 victory at the Community Stadium. And our hunt for domestic silverware nearly hit a speed bump early in the road as we went 1-0 down to Sheffield United, but a comeback in the second half meant that we're in the hat for the 4th round. And we finished the month with a fantastic result, beating Arsenal 2-0, with Elanga and Angelo proving too much to handle on the wings. A result that leaves us in the top 4 at the end of September. Told you we could turn it round. And if we were going to stay in the top 4, we'd have to capitalise early in October, as we had a tricky trip to Old Trafford at the end of it. And we got a bit of a reality check in the Europa League as Fiorentina battered us 3-0 in Italy. But the boys took the proverbial rocket that I put up them and put it to good use as we went away to Burnley and bounced back with a 2-0 win, which we followed up by a disappointing 1-0 loss at home to Fulham. But we bounced back again, this time in the Europa League, a 2-0 victory at home to Ludogorets. But it seemed to be win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, as we lost 3-0 away at Old Trafford to finish off the Premier League month of October pretty disappointingly. We did manage to finish the month on a positive note though. We knocked Manchester City out of the EFL Cup on penalties. Ruben Diaz missing a decisive 16th penalty to send us through. A result in which the newspapers thought that Jude Bellingham was the answer to. And we managed to hold on to 4th spot despite our inconsistent form, but an 8-point gap to City in 3rd meant that the top 3 were starting to break away. And with Liverpool up next, it's a danger that they could slip further and further out of reach. But not today, as we proved too strong for them at the City ground, with Awoniyi and Danilo getting a couple of fantastic goals for us. And it was Gothenburg up next at Fortress City ground, and they were no match for us with a 3-0 win, Angelo getting himself on the score sheet again. A 4th clean sheet in a row followed, again at the Fortress City ground. This time Leeds couldn't break us down, and a penalty and a 90th minute Morgan Gibbs-White goal was enough to see us win. And the double from Awoniyi was enough to secure 3 points in Prague, and it just goes to show how good our defence is. It took a penalty for us to concede our first goal of the month. And we were back to our stingy best as Sagawara got the winner, and we kept another clean sheet, this time against Bournemouth, to give us a perfect November. And the only thing keeping us out of the top 4 is the fact that teams around us have played an extra game. And we were set for a challenging December, with not only having to play 8 games, but starting off with the trip to St James's Park, followed by welcoming Man City. And the trip to St James's Park started in the perfect manner, with Gusto finding Morgan Gibbs-White to give us the lead. But we couldn't hold on, and we lost 2-1 thanks to a double from Alexander Isak. But we were awesome against City. They were missing Erling Haaland, but that didn't seem to matter because we battered them 2-0. And even look at the stats, miles better. Gibbs-White was on the score sheet again at the City ground as we beat Lille 2-1. Craig Mulholland then promised us an excellent youth intake with 3 A-rated prospects coming through. And that seemed to spur on the lads as we went to the Bramley Moore Docks Stadium in Everton and battered them 4-1 in front of their own fans. Morgan Gibbs-White getting a hat-trick. He is on fire at the moment. We then had one of the all-time great quarterfinals in the Carabao Cup. Josh Bowler giving us the lead at Old Trafford after 12 minutes before Marcus Rashford equalised 10 minutes before half-time. Rashford was then on hand to give Manchester United the lead with 20 minutes to go. And 4 minutes into injury time, and none other than Harry Maguire gets up at the corner to head in the equaliser and surely send this to extra time. Morgan Gibbs-White didn't fancy extra time though, as he popped up in the 98th minute to send us through to the semi-final. You won't see a later goal than that. I think that effort took a lot out of the boys as we could only draw 0-0 with Crystal Palace, despite having 21 shots and 7 of them on target. That's disappointing. We weren't as disappointed as Jurgen Klopp though. He got sacked and was replaced by Slot, who had been sacked a month earlier by Newcastle. Everton reacted to us battering them by replacing Sean Dyche with Vincent Kompany. And we were back to winning ways, leaving it late to secure a comeback win with Awoniyi getting a 90th minute winner against West Ham. And we finished 2025 off with a 3-1 home win against Sheffield United. Morgan Gibbs-White finishing a strong month and a strong year with another goal. And Matt Turner finished the year with another North American Goalkeeper of the Year award. And here's a look at how we stood in the competitions. 4th in the Premier League with 2 games in hand on Tottenham, so we've clawed that gap back. And we've already secured at least a playoff spot in the Europa League, sitting in 6th. We closed the gap even further on Tottenham, going to their ground and turning the game around and winning 3-1. We kicked off our FA Cup campaign by making Ryan Reynolds cry, and we beat Wrexham 4-0. Which earned us the right to host West Brom in the 4th round. We then had a chance to put one foot in the final of the Carabao Cup, and it was super sub Gibbs-White who rescued a draw in the home leg against Brentford. And talking of super subs, Kyogo Furuhashi comes on and gets a 90th minute winner at home to Chelsea. And we gave 5 people the chance to be a super sub away at Villa, but it wasn't to be. We went down 1-0 thanks to Jacob Ramsey. Donny van der Beeks found himself at Blackburn, but he couldn't do anything against us. We battered them 5-1. It was then time to try and put both feet into the final of the EFL Cup, but Kevin Schade scored with 15 minutes to go to put us right on the verge of elimination. But it was none other than Morgan Gibbs-White who stepped up and equalised 5 minutes later to send the game to extra time. And as we went in search for the winner, the ball fell to that magic man and he smashed it in the top corner to put himself and Nottingham Forest in the final of the Carabao Cup and a chance at our first silverware. There must have been a bit of a hangover from that, as 3 days later we could only muster a 0-0 draw away in France and followed that up with another 0-0, this time at home to West Brom. But panic not, we haven't forgotten how to score goals. We were just waiting to go away to Apoel, and we scored 8 of them to leave us sitting in 4th in the Premier League with 2 games in hand over Arsenal in front of us, and we qualified 5th in the Europa League to go straight through to the last 16. We then secured a last-minute deadline day loan for Jeremy Doku. Breaking Brentford's hearts in the EFL Cup wasn't enough. We stuffed them 2-0 in the league as well, and we continued our good cup form, this time dispatching of West Brom in the replay 2-1. Back to the Premier League and back down to earth with a 2-0 defeat away at Arsenal. Gabriel Vidovic was the hero as we beat Burnley 1-0, and he was the difference maker again as his brace helped secure a 3-1 victory away at Fulham. It was then time for the Carabao Cup final, and it was that man, Gabriel Vidovic, who put us 1-0 in front after 11 minutes. Neymar, of all people, then equalised from the penalty spot, and then there was nothing else happened all the way to extra time until Angelo chipped in for Elanga to hit the bar and Furuhashi to tap in the rebound with 10 minutes to go in extra time. Brighton went in search of an equaliser, but that left space for Elanga to curl home, and we were 3-1 up with 8 minutes to go. We continued to pound on that Brighton goal, and it was Elanga again causing all sorts of problems, this time squaring for Angelo to surely give us the trophy. The ball bounced around in the penalty box and Matoma found the bottom corner, but it was too little too late. Nottingham Forest win a trophy. It's the EFL Cup. It's the first of our rebuild. Welcome to Silverware Town. We then got a local draw in the Europa League as we got drawn against Hearts in the last 16. And there was talk of a domestic double as Iwanyi ended his goal drought in a 3-1 home victory against Blackpool in the FA Cup. Morgan Gibbs-White then ended his own mini goal drought by giving us the lead against Manchester United, only for Mehdi Taremi to put it back in the 94th minute. And that was all she wrote for a fantastic February, a month that left us sitting in third in the Premier League, with a chance of putting a 4-point gap between us and Arsenal if we could win our game in hand. Speaking of Arsenal, we got drawn against them in the quarter-final of the FA Cup, and March was going to be a big month for us with that quarter-final against Arsenal, as well as our last 16 tie against Hearts in the Europa League coming up, which is why a 3-0 win away at Brighton was the perfect start. Vidovic getting a double, and an injury to Ferdy, who rejected us to go to Brighton, made it even more sweet. But we were far from our best at Anfield, and a Cody Gakpo hat-trick put the gloss on a great day for Liverpool fans. It was then time to try and assert dominance in an all-British tie in the Europa League, and it was Per Schurz that got us off to the perfect start. 25 minutes in though, and Elanga found Gibbs-White and he doubled our lead. It was then Gusto's turn to find Angelo, who then found Gibbs-White, and he rounded off a fantastic 3-0 win away in Scotland. Then it was time for that quarter-final of the FA Cup against Arsenal, a game in which we triumphed on penalties after a 2-2 draw with Declan Rice missing the decisive kick. We then got a chance to rest some players in the second leg against Hearts, but we still ran out 2-1 winners. Our reward? Getting drawn against Inter Milan. We had one more game in March, and Sagawara was an unlikely double scorer either side of a Niakate penalty as we dispatched Leeds 3-0. Our excellent youth intake only turned out to be average. I'm really starting to hate your lies, Craig Mulholland. And we were nothing short of sensational as we went to the San Siro, and we took advantage of Denzel Dumfries' 14th minute red card to run out 3-1 winners. 3-1 against 10 men seemed to be the magic formula, as we'd done it again, this time against Bournemouth. Morgan Gibbs-White gave us the perfect start in the home leg against Inter Milan, and we held on and ran out 3-2 winners on the night, 6-3 overall, to put us in the semi-final of the Europa League. Speaking of semi-finals, our FA Cup semi-final got off to a bad start as Demirel got himself sent off, but somehow we managed to take the lead through this Ryan Yates strike, Vicario with butter on his fingers. Tottenham then went on the attack, and Heung-min Son was unlucky as he saw this effort rebound off the post. Guindo then decided that hanging on with 10 men wasn't going to be hard enough, so he got himself sent off as well. But despite us only having 9 men on the pitch, Tottenham couldn't even muster up a shot on target, and we are through to another domestic final. And we got revenge on Newcastle, beating them 3-1 at the City Ground. And ill discipline cost us a memorable victory away at the Etihad, Danilo getting himself sent off and an Erling Haaland equalising with 2 minutes to go. Ryan Yates was the hero in San Sebastian, giving us a 1-0 win in the away leg of the semi-final, before we rested some players in a dull affair against West Ham. But that was just a warm-up for Sociedad, and Gabriel Vidovic scored this sensational effort to put us through to Europa League final. Results went our way in the Premier League as well, and we have qualified for the Champions League. The board, though, only giving us 27 million as a result. But I told the players that they had a chance to prove we didn't need big money signings, and they done just that as Furuhashi got us the winner away at Palace. Which means with 2 games to go, we sit 3rd in the Premier League with a massive outside chance of winning the thing, a slightly more realistic chance of finishing 2nd, but a very realistic chance of finishing 3rd as Arsenal only have 1 game left. Angelo was the man to secure 3rd spot for us with a 17th minute winner at home to Everton, but Man United beat Chelsea 3-0 to end our title charge and secure the league for themselves thanks to a 1-0 Newcastle win over Man City, which meant with 1 game to go, we were level with them, but massively behind on goal difference. But before that, we had 2 finals, starting with Brighton in the FA Cup, and this Per Schurz free kick was as close as we got to scoring in normal time. But 7 minutes into extra time, and Elanga found Vidovic, and Vidovic found the bottom corner of the net, before this cross found Iwanyi, and he sent our fans into raptures as we secured the FA Cup and with it a historic domestic double. Now it's on to the Europa League final against Porto. Well, we didn't get off to the best of starts. Demirol giving the ball away to Colombo, who squares it for Evan Nilsson to fire Porto ahead. Harry Maguire then stepped up and smashed home from the penalty spot to make it 1-1. Then Galeno found far too much space in our box and Matt Turner could only divert the ball into the top corner. And that was that. We went down 2-1 to Porto. No treble, but a domestic cup double and a chance to finish second awaited for us. A chance that we blew by conceding a 91st minute penalty to Sheffield United. Ryan Brewster steps up to cancel out Harry Maguire's own penalty. And we finished the season in third place. 2 points behind Man City, 2 points ahead of Arsenal. Runners up in the Europa League, but it's the Carabao Cup win and the FA Cup win that make this a spectacular season. A big summer ahead, plenty of wanted symbols in the squad, 27 million to spend. Can we build on this spectacular season and push on in season 4? You'll have to subscribe to the channel and check it out and find out. And while you're there, you might as well leave a like on this video. Come on, it costs you nothing.